There is a video that still hasn't been explained. A young woman enters an elevator. She presses every button. She hides. She reacts to something no one else can see. And then she disappears. Days later, her body is found inside a locked water tank on the roof. This is not just a mystery. It's a case filled with contradictions, unanswered questions, and a piece of footage that no one has ever been able to fully explain. Her name was Elisa Lam. And what happened inside that elevator is still haunting people to this day. Elisa Lam was 21 years old, a student from Vancouver, Canada. She was intelligent, curious, and loved to travel. On her blog, she wrote openly about her thoughts, her struggles, and her desire to explore the world. In early 2013, she set out on a solo trip across California, San Diego, Los Angeles, a journey that was supposed to be freeing, but would end in one of the most disturbing mysteries ever recorded. She checked into a place called the Cecil Hotel. At first glance, it looked ordinary, but the Cecil had a history, a dark one. Located in downtown Los Angeles, right on the edge of Skid Row, an area known for crime, addiction, and homelessness. Over the years, the hotel had been linked to suicides, violent crimes, and even serial killers. Some people called it cursed, others just unlucky. But Elisa didn't know that. To her, it was just a place to stay. At first, nothing seemed wrong. She explored the city, visited bookstores, and stayed in contact with her family. But then, things began to change. Her roommates at the hotel reported strange behavior. They said Elisa was acting odd, leaving notes, hiding items, saying things that didn't make sense. The hotel eventually moved her to a private room, and shortly after that, she vanished. January 31st, 2013. That was the last day anyone saw Elisa Lam alive. She was supposed to check out of the hotel, but she never did. Her parents became worried. They called the police. A search began. Officers checked the hotel, questioned staff, looked through rooms. But there was no sign of her. No forced entry, no struggle, nothing. It was as if she had simply disappeared. Then, 2 weeks later, the police released a video. Elevator security footage from the night she disappeared. And everything changed. Elisa steps into the elevator. She presses multiple buttons, but the doors don't close. She looks outside, steps in, steps out, as if she's hiding from something or someone. Then she moves to the corner, flattening herself against the wall, trying not to be seen. Seconds pass, nothing. No one enters. No one appears. And yet, she reacts as if someone is right there. Then, it gets stranger. She steps outside and begins moving her hands, unnaturally, almost like she's speaking to someone we cannot see. Her gestures are erratic, unpredictable, and deeply unsettling. And then she walks away, out of frame forever. Weeks passed, no answers, until hotel guests began to complain about the water. It was dark. It tasted strange. There was a smell. Maintenance went to check the rooftop tanks, and that's when they found her Inside one of the water tanks was Elisa Lam, her body floating. The lid was closed. The tank was difficult to access. No clear way in, no clear way out. How did she get there? Why didn't anyone see her? Why didn't the alarm trigger? Why was the lid closed? And most importantly, what happened in that elevator? Elisa was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Some believe she may have been experiencing a severe episode, hallucinations, paranoia. This could explain her behavior in the elevator. But does it explain everything? What if she wasn't alone? What if someone was just out of view? The elevator door never closes, as if something is blocking it, or someone. Could someone have followed her, forced her onto the roof, put her in the tank and closed it? But then, how did they escape unnoticed? This is where the internet exploded. Some believe there was something else, something we don't understand. Because what we see in that footage doesn't behave like normal fear. It looks like interaction. Authorities ruled it an accidental drowning. No evidence of foul play, no clear suspect, case closed. But for many people, that answer wasn't enough. And what you're about to realize makes this even harder to explain. Because the questions still remain. Why was the elevator behaving strangely? Why was she acting like that? And how did she end up inside a sealed water tank on a rooftop? No one saw her reach. That video still exists, still watched, still analyzed, frame by frame. And even now, after all these years, no one can say with certainty what really happened to Elisa Lam. So the question we ask ourselves is, when she stepped into that elevator, was she alone or not? If this case left you with questions, there are more stories like this. This case isn't the only one. Subscribe and stay with me for the next mystery.